Hello, everyone. My name is Chase Harrison. I'm the CEO of Alta Labs, and I am joined today by our CTO, Jeff Hansen. And we'd like to say thank you for joining us today to our 10th monthly Alta Labs live event. We do hold these every month, and this is our 10th. And so for those of you who've been here time and time again, you'll kind of know the format. But for those that are new, we'd like to share a couple things here right at the very beginning, just some housekeeping items. But again, thank you for joining us all across the world. We get fans coming in from Singapore, parts of Africa, Europe, the Middle East, even and all throughout the Americas, obviously. So we know it's super late in some areas, super early, and just right. So and part of your day. So again, thank you for taking the time. As promised today, Jeff is going to take a deeper dive into our S12. Plus, we've got some new Route 10 features, some of which that have been long awaited. So we'll spend some time talking through those, introducing you to those. We also, for the first time, are going to surprise everybody who's attending today by doing some surprise giveaways. We're still working through the format. So for today, what we're going to have you do is, if you're interested in participating in the giveaway, email your username as it appears in whatever platform you're in. So Facebook or Instagram, X, StreamYard, YouTube, whatever it is, however your username appears. Quickly pop open an email, send it to social@alta.inc. In the subject line, just drop that username in the subject line, and then fire that email off to social@alta.inc. And at the very end of our Q&A session today, we will be giving away an Alta Labs t-shirt, and then we will also give away an Alta Labs hat. And then finally, we will give away one of our brand new Alta Labs AP6Ws on-wall access points. So kind of a way of saying thanks for being here and logging the time to hear what we have to say. And you do need to be present at the end of the Q&A. We want to be able to make sure you're still here. And so again, go ahead and email that over, and our marketing team will get you plugged into our drawing here at the end of the Q&A. As with all Alta Labs live events, they are recorded. So if you or somebody could benefit from this after it has been after we conclude today, you're welcome to revisit all of the various platforms and access the historical recording and share it out, or let your team watch it. And as a reminder, we also will be holding a live Q&A at the end. So any questions about Alta Labs, whether it's about why Jeff is a Nintendo World Champion, how that happened, to why Alta Labs, or specific products questions, anybody about the company, market questions, you name it, we're happy to answer those questions here on our live stream events. A couple of quick announcements, and then we'll go ahead and turn the time over to Jeff. I know that's really what everyone wants to hear. So first and foremost, thank you for everybody who participated in our June stories incentive. For those that submitted qualifying stories, that you receive an AP6W for free. I know Landon, our marketing manager, is working on getting those shared out ASAP. He's been in contact with, I think, pretty much everybody. And we're waiting for shipping addresses for just a few left, but generally we're sending those AP6Ws now. The next is, we would like to announce our installer of the month. Every month we look through all of our installers globally and look at the size of projects, the quantity of Alta Labs that's being purchased, if they're active on social media, if they're active in the community, or active with us providing feedback on the product. And based on that pool of users, we take a vote internally and vote on who is our installer of the month. And for the month of July, we'd like to congratulate Green Electronic Solutions in Texas for being our installer of the month. Rob and his team are incredible supporters of the Alta Lab brand and have been since almost the beginning. And so huge shout out to those guys. They do some incredible work there in Texas. And Rob, we will go ahead and get your award and your t-shirts out to your team just as soon as possible. Also, a couple other reminders from last week. Last month, excuse me. We did make some changes to our Summit program. That is our marketing team. If you guys wouldn't once again mind sharing that link for the Summit program. We've streamlined that a little bit more, and we've also added the opportunity to win a trip. Every year we take a handful of installers that install the most amount of product and bring them on a trip. And that is something that if you install Alta Labs professionally, you are now eligible for. So if you'll take a look at that link when our marketing team gets a chance to share that out, we'd love to have you obviously participate in that, and love to have you join us next year. In that same kind of vein, we also have recently rolled out a project registration link where if you are dealing with a large project, Generally, if it's $15,000 or larger, $50,000, $100,000 or larger, we would like to know about it. We'd like to, number one, help you make sure you've got the appropriate amounts of inventory set aside for that. If there's additional special design work or attention the project needs. And then depending on the size of the project, the scope, there are some incentives to turn it into a case study and what have you. So it's in everyone's best interest to let us know about that project so that we can help you with that, make sure it gets across the finish line. Our marketing team will eventually share that link out for everyone as well. Also, where we are going to be at in the world, we like to share what our upcoming events are, where we'll be showing off our newest products, our latest and greatest products, and give you a chance to meet the team. In August, we actually will be back in Boston. There is a Channel Pro event there. If you're not familiar with Channel Pro, we highly encourage you to check those shows out. They're very valuable. Obviously, for us, that we see value there as we get a chance to meet our fans and new potential customers. There we will have our brand new S48. We will also have our on-wall access point, and then we'll be talking about some of the new products that are coming down the pipe. And then in September, we have a very busy travel schedule in September. We'll be attending CEDIA in Denver, Colorado. We'll also be attending the ADI show in the Netherlands, first week of September. And then we'll also be in Zambia attending Xamarin, which is basically a technology education week there. And so our social team, our marketing team will be sharing that out on socials as we get closer with dates, potential registration links, et cetera, et cetera. So if you happen to be in Denver, Boston, the Netherlands, or in Zambia in September, we'd love to have you come check out what's the latest and greatest on Alta Labs. And then Whisperpalooza in Las Vegas in October. And then last month, we also announced that we had recently wrapped up a case study with our local Chick-fil-A restaurants here in Southern Utah, where we have, over a period of the last couple of months, we've installed Alta Labs, both internally and externally to the Chick-fil-A locations. We've worked with the local operator to do so. And in return for that, and using carrier offloading technology, that operator is now realizing hundreds of dollars in passive income per site. So just for having Alta Labs deployed in each of those sites, he's seeing literally hundreds of dollars be deposited into his bank account because he is working with some of the largest telco providers, wireless telco providers, to help extend coverage in his restaurants. So our marketing team is going to be sharing a YouTube video that talks about that case study across all of our social platforms today, as well as in StreamYard. We'd love to have you take a look at that. And if you have any projects that could benefit from carrier offloading, we'd ask you to email sales@alta.inc and help you get those projects off the ground. You're welcome to share that YouTube video out with any restaurant owners, venue owners that you know or would like to talk to about Alta Pass, Alta Boost. And then we also be coming up with a written case study here in the next couple of weeks that you can also take out and deliver to some of your projects. So more to come on that front. But that's it for all of our announcements. Sorry, that was a long series of announcements. One more reminder, if you're interested in participating in today's giveaway for the t-shirt, hat, and AP6W, especially if you're just barely joining us, this is a little bit of a surprise. We want to, as a way of saying thank you for being here with us today, send an email with your username, however it appears in StreamYard or YouTube or X, however you're joining us today. And then in the subject line of your email, you'll be sending that to social@alta.inc. Use your username in the subject line there, and click send, and then our marketing team will get that submitted for our drawing at the very end of today's live stream. And again, we need you to be present to win. So that's it. Sorry to keep you from hearing from Jeff so long. Jeff, I'd love to turn the time over to you to talk about features in Route 10, S12, the whole gamut.
Yeah, it's all good. Thanks a ton, Chase. Yeah, really excited to be here. Excited to talk about the S12 up there. But before we do that, we are going to cover a couple new features that we finally launched on Route 10. And I know that it's been a long time coming for many of you who have been asking about DPI for Route 10. So let me share my window real quick. Okay. So we recently launched a few features in Route 10 that I just want to go over real quickly. So first off is DPI. So DPI on Route 10 will automatically be enabled. You don't have to do anything to turn it on to activate it within the firmware. So as long as you're on the latest firmware, it's 1.3G and above, you'll have automatic DPI tracking. And this is very similar to the technology that is built into every single one of our access points. It's just running on the router. So it's kind of a higher performance engine. You know, when you have a big network, access points can, you know, handle a little bit of traffic, but when you have to roll that all up into a router that handles, you know, 10 gigabits, you have to make it more performant. And so those are part of the reasons why it took a little bit longer to make sure that the DPI was stable and reliable once we launched it. So to access it, once again, it's automatically enabled. You can go into your devices tab, and we're just going to look at an example here. Let's look at this Apple TV right here. And before, you know, this DPI data here, and in many cases, some of the traffic here wouldn't show up at all for wired devices. Now, if you have Route 10 with 1.3G with DPI enabled, all this is now populated. And so it is tracking all of the data that's going in and out of every wired device as well. And so you can see here, this specific Apple TV, you know, has a lot of Apple traffic, some NTP, makes sense. The cool thing too is this, and this is, you know, it's always been this way with our DPI, but if you want to look at the DPI for the last hour, 2 days, 2 months, this is actually a rolling bucket of DPI data, right? So if I look at the last minute, that's live, it will show you the data for the last minute. And so if I did something exactly 1 minute ago, it will automatically roll out of that window, and you'll see the DPI stats change in real time. Same thing for 1 hour. So if I change it to 1 hour here, it's downloading the data now. But you can see this is a rolling bucket for the last hour. So, and it's updated on the hour at 0 seconds every minute. So this would be the last, you know, 60 minutes as of, it looks like we just went to 0 seconds. So 10 seconds ago would have been the last minute, and then the 60 minutes prior to that. And then, as I said before, if you did something exactly 61 minutes ago, it would not show up in these stats. So it's just kind of a, you know, real time, but it's the very last hour of data here. And it does the same thing for 2 days and 2 months. So if you change it to 2 days, it would be the last 2 days rolling. Same thing for 2 months. 2 days are rolled up into hours, and months are rolled up into days, just for, you know, a little bit more technical of how that actually all works. So yeah, you can see what your clients are doing. This is very helpful for identifying a client. For example, if I want to shut off one of my kids' phones, I can just see if they're doing YouTube, and I know it's their phone. Or if they're on a wired PC now, I can see that they're doing, you know, Roblox or something like that on their wired PC. And we'll have more features coming that's related to the DPI, but for right now, it is, you know, initially classifying it. And you can do some basic filtering as well that I'll show you in a minute. All right, so that's how you see the DPI from a client perspective, a wired client perspective on our devices tab. You can also see here, if you hover over each of your clients, before on wired clients, there was nothing. But now if you hover over it for a wired client, you'll see the DPI data above here. So you can see, and since we're in the hour time frame, each of these time slots is 1 minute. So you can see exactly how much data was transferred for each category in that specific minute. So you can see at the very top there, you have 10:31 a.m. So this is that minute. And then you can see all the data that was transferred for that wired device in that single minute. So that's kind of how you can tell what's running real time from the devices tab. All right, let's see. It also shows up from the applications. So if you go to your dashboard and you click on the applications, we have a summary of every single application that's being tracked for the whole network, wireless and wired now, right? So before it was only wireless. Now, if you have wired devices, they'll show up on these lists, and you can click into each device and you can see, let's see if we have any wired devices. But yeah, anyway, you can go on each device and see, like drill down. You can see that device is using Apple first off, and then you can look at those individual devices one at a time in each of their device windows. So that's cool. Let's see. We do need to mention one thing. So when it's enabled by default automatically, but we don't enable the filtering automatically for existing users. So this is just a caveat for anyone who's been using Route 10 for a while. You'll need to know that if you want to enable the filtering in Route 10, which I'll go over right now, you have to go to the filter tab for your site and check this block wired checkbox. So if you do new sites, brand new sites, it'll automatically turn it on because, you know, we don't have any legacy sites, or we basically don't want to break anything that's already running just by rolling out a firmware update. So that's why we did this intentionally, making it so that if you want to turn on filtering, you would have to come in here and turn it on existing sites. For new sites, however, it just comes on automatically. Now, so now I'll go over the filtering that you can do with Route 10 and DPI. So it's the same DPI engine that's running on our access points. You come in here, and if you want to block TikTok, for example, you can start typing a list, and it'll show up, it'll search the list, and then you can add those to this list of applications that are blocked. Items that are blue are groups, and items that are red are individual applications. So adult content, we don't list that out. It's just like a catch-all group for all adult content that gets blocked. But TikTok would be like an individual application. And so that's why those are shown in different colors. So that's how you do that with Route 10 and DPI. So what this will do is it'll basically block all adult content and TikTok for the whole wired and wireless network at this point, if I hit save. And like I said, there are going to be more. I know this question comes up a bunch of times. Is there per VLAN filtering, per client filtering? Yes, that's all coming, but right now it's just everything is blocked, which is, in most scenarios that's what you want. You can also block individual hosts. So this works the same way as it does on our access points. If I put a host name in here, like just a host name like that, the access points and now the Route 10 will go ahead and resolve that continuously and make sure that the IP address that is associated with that host name is blocked. So that's kind of how that works. So you can put a bunch of host names, and it will make sure that all the IP addresses associated with those are unreachable. So that's another way that you can do content filtering with Route 10 now. So that's always been available on the APs. Now it's there on Route 10. Let's see. Another feature that has been long in the works is static routing. So we're going to go over to the Networks tab. So to set up static routing, you go to Settings and then Networks, and then it's under here with routes, right next to VLANs and WANs. So to set up a route, you just hit the Add button. You have to give every route a name. And then we have 3 different types of routes. So next top, which is the most traditional, if you have a certain subnet, route it through a certain router. Pretty straightforward. So that's the default one. So let's go ahead and say, let's route 8.0/24 to this random router. And the cool thing is you can actually see this happen live. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you a feature. If you hold down the shift button on a device in the network tab, it'll pull up the terminal window. And so we can see beforehand that we have no routes for this specific network to this router defined. Now I'm going to go ahead and say add this route, and let's go back over here just so we see it in here as well. So I hit the add button, and then just like that, the new route is in there. So you can see in real time that the route was added to the Route 10. So now we're routing traffic to this subnet 8.0.2.6.1. And you can see it in this list as well. So that's the most basic type of route, just the next top static route. We also have an interface type. So you can see here, we do have interface name here. And that's kind of why I brought up this debug terminal here is, you may not know what the names of your interfaces are. And so if you bring up the debug terminal, you can run ifconfig, IP, whatever your preference is for viewing your network interfaces, if you know Linux at all. And then you can go ahead and put those interface names into your static route configuration. So you can put BRLAN in there for just the bridge. It does give some examples in here as a guide, but sometimes it's always best to just go into the actual device and see what the actual name of the interface is, and then you can put it in there. You can also set a metric. So the lower metrics have higher priority. So if you have overlapping subnets or anything like that, this will make sure that certain subnets are handled the way that you want in the correct priority. We also have interface only routing. So this is more useful for like VPNs as an example. So let's say you have a subnet that you need to route over a VPN and it's not handled by our other VPN configuration in any way. You can actually, as long as you know the VPN interface name, you can route that subnet over that interface just by setting up an interface route. That's pretty useful for VPN static routes. And then we have the black hole route. So if you just want to block an entire subnet, IP address, whatever, you can put that in here and do that as well. So that's let's see, we have one more feature. That's static routing. We're going to talk about VLANs and DHCP servers. So this is another feature that's been often requested by many users. The ability to disable the DHCP server on a particular VLAN. And it's really easy. You just go into the VLAN configuration. You have this option near the top. You just click off and then you hit save. And that will turn off the DHCP server for that VLAN. And that will allow you to, you either use another Route 10 or some third-party gateway for the DHCP server for that VLAN for those special use cases. Or sometimes if you're just doing testing and you don't want to swap everything out right off the bat, want to use an existing DHCP server while you're testing things, that's an easy way to do it. All right, and that wraps up our most recent Route 10 features that we launched about a week ago. So yeah, if you have any questions about that, just send them in our stream and we can answer them later here. Now I'm going to cover the S12. All right, so S12, we don't have a data sheet yet. It is coming. It has 12 SFP plus ports. So all of those ports are 10 gigabits. Let's pull up just the device card here. So we have an S12 here running. It can handle 240 gigabits per second of switching capacity. It also has Bluetooth, just like every single one of our other Alta switches has. So if you're setting up a brand new network and don't have a connection into that network yet, especially with your mobile phone, all you have to do is open up the mobile app, be able to reach it within Bluetooth range, and you can set it up on your network. So super simple to add a brand new switch and create a new network from scratch. It also supports, just like all of our other switches, egress and ingress rate limiting. So if you want to set upload and download limits per port, you can do that. Let's see, to do that, you just go to the individual port and set an upload and a download limit here. Let's see, we have IGMP snooping. So to turn that on, you go into your, let's see, settings, system settings, and let's see, let's try and remember. It does support IGMP snooping.
It's in the VLANs, I think, Jeff.
Is it in the VLANs? You're right.
We put it in the VLANs.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, yeah, so it's on a VLAN basis. That way it's handled, it traverses all the network routers and switches, and you don't have to configure it from a specific device type. Yeah, so this is how you turn it on, IGMP snooping. Let's see, it also supports 802.1x authentication on every port. So if you have IP phones, typically they have some sort of authentication. You can do a backup VLAN, just like we have with all of our other switches. So if they're not authenticated, they'll get on a guest VLAN, or you can block access completely, right? Either way, that's the difference between the 802.1x strict versus non-strict. And then you can authenticate that phone using .1x with your Radius server. We have STP loop detection support. So, and you can enable that or disable that per port. So you just go to the loop detection option here and you can turn it on or off. And then, yeah, some other things about the switch. So it's we recommend doing maximum 2 watts SFP modules per port. Once you get above that, you'll start hitting some limits. So we've confirmed you can do RJ45 or copper transceivers that are 2 watts. So that's typically lower power than the cheaper transceivers, and they're not that much more expensive. But if you buy the more premium ones, you'll get the lower power that can be 1.8, 1.9 watts. If you do that, you can run 10 copper transceivers on the S12. So there's 12 ports, and you can run a copper transceiver on 10 of them, which should hopefully cover any use case imaginable at this point. Typically, you only need 1 or 2, but we figured we wanted to make sure that there are some corner cases where people want to be able to run copper on more than 1 or 2, more than 5 or 6 even. And so we added some thermal support for that. Another thing about the S12, the chipset is capable. It's a Realtek RTL 9313, very similar, actually the exact same chipset as what we have in the S48 APOE. It is an L3 capable chip. So while we don't have those features readily available in the user interface right now, it is accessible via the CLI. So you can use the diag command. And, we do have some users on the forum who are doing some pretty cool things with Route 10 right now using the post config script. And we'd like to foster kind of a similar thing in the, before a feature arrives officially in the user interface. We want to do a similar thing with the switches, being able to do some of these L3 features that the chipset supports. So L3 routing, and then DHCP proxying. We want to be able to support that long term. And then I think that's about it for our S12. Did I miss anything, Chase?
No, not really. I'd just like to stress the copper transceiver side. For those of you who may not be familiar, actually, those are number one. There's all kinds of different power ratings, right, on 1 gig, 5 gig, 10 gig copper transceivers, and they are power hungry. Number one, and power produces heat, so it's not necessarily a software limitation on our side, or even a board limitation. It's because of the footprint that we've chosen on S12, right? We can only move so much air through that chassis to keep it cool when you're using even 10 SFP modules. So,
I did forget to point out 1 gig SFP modules are going to be fine. Those are low.
Right.
So we're really only talking about 10 gig, the higher speed SFP modules.
That's right. That's right. And so obviously we want to just make sure that we stress that, right, is that if you're planning on loading this up with 12, 10 gig transceivers, thermally, that's restricted, right? You need to stay at 10 or below if it's in the higher wattage, right, in the 2 watt range. The other thing I mentioned, right, is and again, when our data sheet comes out here, probably the next week or so, we will show that you can actually put 2 of those S12s side by side on a 1U shelf. So obviously we sell them individually. So if 12 ports is sufficient, that's great. If you need more than 12 ports, we actually included with each S12 are the necessary brackets to put them side by side on a 1U shelf. So you can get 24 ports of 10 gig modules right on a 1U environment. So I see lots of good questions coming with S12. We will come back to those, I promise, with all of the live Q&A that we'll go through here in just a moment. But I think other than that, Jeff, I think you pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, let's get to the Q&A.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, so one more time before we jump into live Q&A, actually a couple things. First of all, I should have mentioned when we kicked this off, StreamYard actually mentioned that Instagram was having some issues. So if you are having problems with Instagram or had to move to a different platform from Instagram, friendly reminder, this is recorded, so you won't miss anything. You can come back and visit that at a later time. For those of you who are here, we are about ready to start our live Q&A. So how we handle that is you can go ahead and drop any questions in any of your platforms, right? So if it's whether you're X or StreamYard or YouTube, you can drop your questions in the comment section of this live stream, and that'll pipe right into Jeff and I's dashboard here, and we're able to share those questions and get them answered. If we miss a question, it's not intentional. Or if you're watching this after the fact and you have a question, please email sales@alta.inc with that question, and we will make sure that gets answered right away. Finally, final reminder, we are doing a giveaway after the live Q&A. So if you would like a chance at winning an Alta t-shirt, an Alta hat, or one of our brand new AP6Ws, just go ahead and email your first and last name to social@alta.inc. And we will we'll submit your name into our drawing, our random drawing that we'll hold here right at live Q&A. So without further ado, we'll jump into live Q&A. Let me jump all the way back. We've got a lot of good questions. We're at 25 questions so far, so we will work to get through these as quickly as possible. First question from user VJ: any updates on Wi-Fi 7 access points, please?
Yeah, so we've been working a lot on these access points. We plan to launch them by the end of the year. That's the current goal. Hopefully near the beginning of the fourth quarter, but more likely mid quarter, somewhere around there. And yeah, I mean, just to remind everybody, we do plan on having a 10 gigabit PHY, so it'll be 10 gig capable. But yeah, Wi-Fi 7, and it will have 6 gigahertz. All 3 bands will be supported. And it'll be a 2x2 on the 2 gig, 4x4 on the 5 gig for increased range and performance, and then 2x2 on the 6 gigahertz. So those are the base specifications of the access point. Yeah. So hopefully should be by the end of the year, but hopefully a little sooner than that.
And it'll also be fanless. There's no fans in this access point.
It'll be fanless. And hopefully, the fact that we don't have Wi-Fi 7 right now isn't holding you back from adopting Alta fully. Our AP6 Pro does have one of those core Wi-Fi 7 features, the 4K QAM already, and it works very well. We don't have the 6 gigahertz, obviously, but there are, a lot of the world doesn't support that, and there are a lot of reasons why 6 gigahertz isn't being deployed necessarily, right? And we can get into more detail on that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we hope that 6 gigahertz takes off and is very successful, but there are plenty of reasons to just go ahead and install with Wi-Fi 6 for the time being. You're not necessarily locked in forever.
That's right. Very good points. Thanks, Jeff. And thanks, VJ, for the question on Wi-Fi 7. Thanks for being here. Next question from VJ again. Let's see. When can I see the S48 PoE switch for available in the UK, please? So that's a good question. I'm glad that this came up. So in the last couple of live stream events, we have been pushing and announcing that we will have the S48 in channel by July. So that means available through our distributors. We, in the final stages of our mass production, in their mass production process, we uncovered some things that we didn't really like. So introduced just a couple week delay. So by the end of July, the S48s will be in transit from our manufacturing facility in Taiwan. And so I would suggest, VJ, as long as we are meeting our timeframes with the various freight forwarders and our distributors, you should see that arrive in the UK by the middle of August. So we'll obviously make sure we work with distributors to get word out as soon as the S48s arrive. So again, that mid-August timeframe is a goal globally, right? So as soon as mass production wraps up, our freight forwarders with our distributors are queued up to go and grab inventory and get into channel ASAP. So thanks again for the question, VJ. And actually, VJ, I love it. Hot with the questions right here at the very beginning. Can we see a pro router and switch, please? Jeff, any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to be able to do a spin of Route 10 that has maybe more capacity, more RAM, more ports, things like that. Maybe run a controller on it potentially. We're brainstorming these things, but we don't have anything concrete that we can announce right now. What we can say right now is that we have a very cost-effective 10 gigabits router that can do DPI, IDS, IPS, all of that, and still maintain that 10 gigabits line rate. Which is mind-boggling to me. But yeah, we do want to do more features later. But right now, the Route 10 can handle 10 gigabits, 1 gigabit, everything in between. As far as switches, so if there is a specific feature that you're looking for on a pro type router, we definitely love to hear it. And then even the Route 10, as it stands right now, we do plan on adding features like high availability, VRRP. Open VPN. I mean, we're not done with the development of it by any stretch. So, and all those features would come into a pro router as well if we do launch something like that. But same thing with the switches. If there's any specific features that you're looking for in a switch, please let us know.
Great, thanks, Jeff, and thanks, VJ. Jorge, yeah, good to see you here. Thanks for the support on Wi-Fi 7. We agree with you. It's coming as fast as possible. Let's see. This is, I think, a follow-up from last month. User Motion Sakil, thanks for being here. Motion, updates on 8-port 2.5 gigabit switch.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something we're considering. We've been looking around to see if there's something we can use, but yeah, haven't come up with a firm plan yet on releasing something like that.
Yeah, definitely something we're interested in. We know we need, right? Especially with Wi-Fi 7, right? With the 2.5 gig all the way up to 10 gig capable PHY. So definitely not ignoring that. Thanks, Motion, for the question. Next, question from user Kevin Cobain. Thanks for being here, Kevin. Did I say something about an ADI event? I did. We are working with ADI internationally in select markets. Specific questions are probably best routed to both Dallin and Philip, who manage our European markets for us. But we will actually be in, I'll tell you the exact part of the Netherlands. We'll be in Breda. There's an ADI show in Breda, Netherlands, September 11th. So if you are near Breda, the Netherlands, around the 11th, we'd love to have you be there. We will have all the latest and greatest products with Alta Labs there. So thanks for catching that, Kevin. All right, running through our list here. I flagged this one. Brandon, I appreciate that. If there's anything Jeff or I or any of our team can do to have you click that Route 10 button, we'd be happy to help. Even if we need to chat with your wife for a minute, that's a good choice. So let's do that. Thanks for being here, Brandon, even if you don't have Route 10 yet. Next question from user Jamie McGregor. Morning. Why is DOH overriding our custom DNS on 1.4G? Apparently it was an intended feature, but I don't see how that could be a feature. We can't use custom DNS anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we do run DOH on all of our Alta Labs devices, and that is to ensure connectivity to our cloud or, the controller that you set up. It provides kind of a backdoor just in case the configured DNS is not working. Now, I'd love to get more into your case to understand what's going on. If you do specify a DNS server, like for example in DHCP, it will only send that in the DHCP offers that are given out. So if there's something specifically wrong that you think that we're doing, if you can get a little bit more details, that's something that traditionally is something that would be great for the forum. Or I mean, you can reach out to sales, tech support. If there's something that we're doing wrong, we definitely want to hear about it. And but I'm just saying, typically, that's something that we'd handle on the forums and go back and forth and try to understand if there is a problem and if there is what we can do to mitigate that. But yeah, but we have plenty of people using custom DNS. Works great, and it should not be forcing anyone to use the DOH that's built into the Alta Labs devices itself.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jeff. And thanks, Jamie, for the question. Simon from Wi-Fi, thanks for being here. We also love drone shots. That's beautiful beauty shots of the access points on buildings. So plenty more of those in our future. Next question from Mosin again. Hi, the DPI page when I switch to 2 days and 2 months is blank for me.
All right. Yeah. I mean, if that's something that you can reproduce reliably, we definitely love to hear about it. It's not something obviously that I did it just now and everything populated. It does take a little bit longer to load the historical data than the real-time data. So sometimes it's typically only for large sites though, where that happens, where you have to wait 30 seconds, a minute for everything to load. On a small site like a home site though, everything should be pretty instant. So yeah, if you're seeing an issue where it's not loading on the historical data, reach out to support. We'll probably get invited to your site and try to reproduce that and understand what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Mosin, for the question. Next question from user Jalen. Will Alta be adding any spectrum analysis features for APs within the controller dashboard?
So spectrum analysis, yeah, it's a loaded question. I've considered it a few times back and forth, but yeah, we don't have any immediate plans to do anything like that. And the reason why is because there's a lot that you can glean right now from the way that we do. Let's see, can I share my screen again?
Yep.
Let's just look at the dashboard. So one of the cool things about Alta Labs dashboard is you go into your network tab and you can see the channel utilization for every single access point, every band on every AP, right? So, and this is actually historical as well. So, for example, if you have that utilization and it only happens at 3 a.m. in the morning or whatever, you can actually look at the daily stats and you can see that utilization is going up in the middle of the night. Now, our automatic channel planning should catch that and potentially switch channels for you. But if you like to get into the details and try to understand, if there's a specific problem with your Wi-Fi network, you can actually see that right here. And so while it's not a spectrum analyzer, it is telling you how overutilized your spectrum is for that specific channel at that specific time. And this is real time, right? So if it's live, then you could see I could do a speed test or something like that on a different AP on the same channel, and you'll see that it goes red periodically. And so that would tell you that maybe you need to diversify your channels in that specific case, right? Maybe you don't want both APs on the same channel or something like that. The cool thing too is, so it won't flag it as red. So if this AP specifically is handling that channel and it's got 80 or 90% of it specifically is using 80 or 90% of the spectrum, that's not necessarily a problem. In some other instances, that'll get flagged as a problem. But if you have a specific AP and it's the only one using the channel, we don't flag that as a problem because it's being used as intended. And so, yeah, really the idea is here, you can go through all of your different APs and take a look at them. You can look at the historical data, you can look at the real-time data, and that is by far the number one thing that causes channel interference is just looking at the airtime utilization here. We do have some other stats that you can gather from radius, for example. We have noise floor, things like that might be useful if you like looking at that data. That is in our latest versions of access point firmware. But yeah, no plans for an outright spectrum analyzer right at this moment.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. User Jalen, thank you for your question. Hopefully that you find that helpful. We'd also love to hear more about your need for spectrum analysis, right? In our forum, if you want to come engage there, even submit a feature request. That's always a good place to kind of get not only have your voice be heard, but then allows us to see how much the community is demanding for things like that too. So thanks for being here again, Jalen. Next question from user Juan Manuel Manny343. Is there a way to disable DPI temporary to prevent overload CPU?
Yeah, great question, Juan Manuel. So if I can share my screen again real quick, I'll show you how to do this. So after you log in, you go to settings, you go to system, and then it's very near the bottom here, advanced. So we've had this option in here for access points since the beginning. We don't recommend turning it off just because this is the default, right? So you want to make sure, typically when you're running a system, you want to run it in the default state with the default options. It's always enabled by default. And so if you want to disable it either to reduce CPU, or maybe you think it's breaking some connection or something like that, all you have to do is disable right here. And you can disable it individually for APs versus the Route 10. So if I want to turn it off on APs, I just check that. If I want to turn it off on the Route 10, you just do that. But I will challenge you to try to run some speed tests and things like that to see if turning off the DPI actually makes any difference. And that is because our platform is so hardware accelerated. Once anything really gets any momentum, it's accelerated. And so it actually, it's tracked in the DPI engine, but it's not tracked by the Linux host necessarily frame by frame. And so with that, you're able to offer DPI. The same thing with IDS, IPS. You can have all these features, but you don't necessarily chew through a bunch of CPU time. But that is how you turn it off if you wanted to.
That's right. All right. Thanks, Jeff, for the answer. And thanks, Juan, for the question. That's a great one. Next one from user Jamie. Also, will be able to disable sticky connections for dual WAN in the future. It causes no failback after failover to WAN 2.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that you've worked with us and support. We've actually been working with several customers on improving our multi-WAN failover. support from the time that it was launched. We've already released a bunch of features that improve it greatly and help. We enable stickiness by default just because there are you usually have a worse experience when it's off, and that's because a lot of SSL sites, bank sites, they need your IP address to stay the same when you're working with that specific connection in the browser. And so yeah, that's why it's on by default. And so but yeah, when it fails over, we have found some issues where if it's gone away and come back and things like that, sometimes it maintains a bad connection on a specific connection. Everything else might be working fine, but maybe your specific bank connection dies or something like that. So we've already fixed a lot of those issues in the latest 1.3G firmware. There's one more, and I will ask you to hopefully be patient. We fixed one more issue that will go into the 1.3H release, hopefully in the next couple of days, that fixes one more issue. And if you have any more issues after that, then we definitely would love to continue working with you to understand what's going on there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jamie. Great question. Moving through the list here. Let's see. Next question from Matthew. Related to DNS, any future plans to include native support for DOH or DOT addresses directly into Route 10?
Yeah, I mean, great idea. It's something where we love to cultivate these kind of ideas on forum.alta.inc. We do implement many of those. So yeah, I would just go ahead and post something like this on our forum and see how many votes you get. Yeah, definitely a good idea to be able to choose your own DOH provider so that you're not locked into necessarily what we choose. We by default use Cloudflare, Google, let's see, and OpenDNS, I believe. I'm trying to remember, but those are the defaults, and we choose multiple just in case. I mean, Cloudflare went down for like, I think 10 minutes a couple days ago. It's rare, but we just want to make sure that DNS is always working no matter what is going on in the world.
Yep, agreed. Absolutely. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Matthew, for the question. Another great one. Motion back with another question. Would we be able to see custom icons for our devices? Are more coming?
Let's see, custom icons. So yeah, another great question. We are discussing this internally. We've had a few requests for this. I think there's already a forum feature request out there right now, so you can go and vote for that. We don't have plans right at the moment to do custom icons, but we are actively, so somebody asked for like a Raspberry Pi icon, and we added that, I think a couple days ago. So if you have any ideas on icons that would be very, generic and that a lot of people would use, we can definitely add those, and we'll continue to consider custom icons, but there's no firm time frame on when we would implement that yet.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Motion, as well, for the question. Yeah, it's surprising how much that's coming up, but we will see. Next question, Jason's Lab. I'm assuming, Jason, you meant this is more specifically regarding the static route.
No, he's asked for this several times before. It's still on our list of things to do. We just don't have a time frame yet for it. But yeah, being able to see all of the users that are connected to each of the VPNs, how much traffic they're using, statistics like that. Obviously, if you know WireGuard, you can go in and you can get that from the debug terminal if you know how to do that. But yeah, we do plan to bring that into the user interface at some point.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks for being here, Jason, all the way from Canada. Next question from Brandon Ballou. Does Route 10 support ISP provided IPv6 prefix delegations?
Yeah, I mean,
another question follow-up for that for DHCP. That helps add any color there for you, Jeff.
I'd have to. I'm pretty sure we do. I'd have to check with Chris, probably Beekler. He knows. He does a lot more IPv6 than I do. I think he tries to ban IPv4 from his network in general. So he's very good at supporting IPv6 for us, which is great. I believe we do support that. But yeah, if you find that we don't, definitely reach out to us. I know that I've set up DHCP-based IPv6 addresses, and you just set the prefix delegation that you want, whether it's 64 or 56 or whatever, and everything works. And we're actually considering adding more support. So like per VLAN delegation, so you can break it up. Some really cool things on IPv6 front. And the firmware actually supports a lot of these things out of the box right now. We're just, working on bringing those things to the front end so that it's easily configurable.
Great. Thanks, Brandon. And thanks, Jeff. Next question actually submitted via Instagram from Hurst First Wi-Fi coming out of Dubai. Adam, thanks for the question. Are there any ways to add a schedule to the filter?
Yeah, great question. This is something that we definitely have had planned for a while, so we'll probably start working on it soon. But yeah, I mean, yeah, no question we want to do it. It's just a matter of when. So we wanted to make sure, like, for example, on Route 10, that DPI worked in general, solid, stable, performant. And then we'll go into these advanced features where, it definitely comes up a lot where somebody doesn't want that filter to be enabled all the time. Whether it's all the time or on all devices or all VLANs, all this filtering, more granular filtering is definitely coming.
Great. Thank you for getting that over to us, Landon. Thanks, Adam, for the question. Thanks, Jeff, for the answer. Next question coming from user Kevin Honan. Would love to see DHCP table to easily manage the devices that have been reserved and the ability to add a device without having to track down the device in the network tab.
Yeah, great comment. And this is another thing that we've had on our queue for a while now you can see all the devices in the list, right? And you can see it shows their DHCP assigned address and all that. But yeah, it would be nice to just see from a VLAN perspective, from the DHCP server perspective, what has been assigned. And we do want to add support for that. We don't have it yet, but also the ability to revoke leases from the user interface. Just like, for example, wipe all of them out would be nice in some cases. But I will comment on the ability to add a MAC address manually. You can do that. And if I can share my screen real quick again, you can do that in our management platform already. So you just go to the devices tab and you go to the options up here. And you have to know whether it's a wireless or a wired devices so that it can categorize them and set up the other configuration options properly. But in most cases, most people that do this, they're adding a wired device. And so you have to give it a name, and then you put in the MAC address and the IP address for the assignment, and then save it. You can also do this in bulk fashion. If you have a CSV or something like that, or you want to like migrate over another table that you've built over time, you can do that as well. You just copy and paste your list, and it will automatically add all of those clients and assignments into the Route 10 for you.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. And thanks for the great question, Kevin. Next one's coming from a good friend, Christopher Bailey. Chris, good to see you here. More of a feature request than a question. Would it be possible in a future update to have the interface on the static route be a drop down of the available interfaces on the device instead of having to jump into the terminal and running ifconfig IP to find the interface? I could see that as something that could easily be an area for mistakes when creating static routes. Yeah,
and I mean, we do great idea, and we do have most of the data in order to do that already in the front end. So the only caveat is, I mean, there has to be a way to manually enter. For example, if you haven't set up a certain interface yet, or if it's not up yet. So like you configured it, but it hasn't fully configured yet. There are some cases where you would still need a manual entry, as you know. But yeah, it'd be cool to be able to search from a list, select that. So yeah, we'll definitely write that down as a potential idea. Thank you for the idea.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for the idea, Chris. Different Chris Tarico. I'm sorry, I'm murdering the last name. Forgive me, Chris. Thanks for being here. Assuming all the ports are capable of 100 meg, 10 gig, or and not 10 gig only, any restrictions on SFP manufacturers? This is for the S12.
Yeah. So it's traditional SFP. So, I mean, there are different classes of SFP, right? There's 1 gig, which is actually 1.25 gig. And then there are some, more proprietary 2.5 gig, and then all the way up to 10 gig speeds. And you can set all that manually in the user interface, and it does support those automatically. So the way it works is when you plug in your module, it will read from the EEPROM of that module, and cross your fingers that it's correct. But most manufacturers have correct EEPROM data. It's rare to see one that doesn't. But yeah, as long as it's correct, it will set the speed for what is described in the EEPROM, and then run at that speed. But if you need to override it, you can do that in the user interface as well. We don't have any restrictions on any SFP manufacturers across any of our switches or Route 10, any of our devices that have any SFP cages. So as long as it's not like locked to a specific router, I mean, a lot of those SFP transceivers run pretty complicated firmware in them. So as long as there's not anything specifically that would be barring you from inserting that into one of our switches where it's trying to authenticate our switch, there are those. And especially with like ISPs, they do that a lot so that you can only plug it into their router and things like that. But there are no restrictions from our end.
Wonderful. Great question, Chris. Thank you for that. Just a comment from Les Everett. Your line of products has been a game changer in our business model. We are all in. Thank you for the support, Les. That's the music to our ears.
Awesome.
Next question from Jordan. Jordan, I think we did update this. I know you acknowledged a little further down, but in case anybody missed it, the S12 is rackable. It comes with the mount ears to do that, and it also comes with the mount ears to be able to put two side by side on a 1U.
Yeah, so one of the ears is really short and one is really long to fill in the gap on the other side.
That's right. So thanks for the question, Jordan. Next question from VJ. Any updates for patch cables and SFP modules, please?
Yeah, I mean, nothing new since last month, really. We definitely are looking and trying to find something that'll work for us that we can put our name on. But yeah, nothing yet.
Yep, great point. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, VJ. Next question from Mosin. Good eyes there. What's new in 1.4H? I can see you running it.
Yeah, I was wondering if anybody would notice that. Yeah, it's basically just a couple more stability fixes. We've had some crashes in, I think, 1 or 2 sites, and that's it that we've resolved. And so we're testing those fixes, making sure they work. And then once again, I alluded to the WAN failover fix, the multi-WAN failover fix earlier in the call. That's also in there. So yeah, we're just we eat our own dog food, and we're always running the latest releases on our headquarters network. We have several other networks that we run, stress testing and making sure that everything works properly before we give it to everybody else. That's
right. Great question, Moshe, and way to pay attention to the detail there. Appreciate you paying that close attention to the call or this live stream event. Next question from Kevin Cobain. Why does the website not show any of the new products? It's a good question. Actually, the AP6W is there. The way we lay out our products drop down, right, is anything new is kind of on the upper right-hand corner. But our marketing team is actually working on adding the AP6W to the AP list. So you should see that coming out in the next couple of days. AP6W is arriving in channels, has been arriving in channels. I know we've got people selling it and playing on projects already. Other markets are still waiting. We did sell through our first mass production batch, and our next mass production batch is finishing up 1st of August. And then we'll work on filling back orders there. So as far as the S48, that's also coming. You'll probably see that on the website probably early next week. It's actually already kind of on there. If you know how to search for it, you can probably find it. But we'll make them permanent, anchors on the various categories here soon. The S12 will probably be, very end of July. So that's coming for sure. Appreciate you catching that, Kevin. Next question from our good friend Mike Rollins here in Utah. Thanks for being here, Mike. Is the S12 fanless?
So it is not fanless, and that is because of the amount of power, especially as you use those high wattage transceivers. If you're using 10 2-watt transceivers, it gets pretty hot in that case. And just the ability to route 240 gigabits per second of traffic does require a lot of power. And so, yeah, it's not fanless, but it is a single fan. And, if you've used any of our switches, you know that we pay very close attention to detail. And if it's not, under heavy use, if it's pretty idle, it will generally be pretty quiet. And then as you ramp it up and use it more and more, it will turn up the fan speed just depending on how much is necessary.
Yep, for sure. Thanks for the question, Mike. Looks like we got a couple of duplicates here. We'll skip past those. User Shukor, thanks for being here. S12 indicative price. I'm assuming you're asking for maybe like the retail price point. In the US, just for reference, US dollars, our target retail price is $299. And that's actually going to be the retail price point. That shouldn't change. Now, in other markets, right, there's importations, there's taxes, duties, tariffs, right? So that retail price may be a little bit higher based on the country and what the distributors in those markets feel like is necessary to cover those costs. But we are strongly encouraging that $299 retail price point. And then obviously, if you're buying at wholesale, that your price will be less than that, so you can turn around, mark it up, and make some margin there. So, and that does include the rack ears. No, those are not optional accessories you have to buy. Good questions too. Jake, thanks for being here. Jake, coming in from the UK, when will the S12 be available in the UK? That's a good question, actually. So this is another one that we have experienced some minor delays in. Number one, Jeff mentioned thermals. We were querying kind of some of our beta testers and community on the number of higher power SFP modules that need to do 10 gig in the copper SFP modules. And so adding the additional thermal treatments right inside of the S12 to support that. And then also modifying our PCB along with that just a little bit has delayed that. So right now we're looking at trying to get it in the channel probably middle of September and onward. But Jake, I know you're also working with our both with Philip and Dallin there. I know you have some big projects that you have been finishing up with Alta and are on the pipeline. We do have some production samples that may or may not be available, right? So and that goes for anybody, right? If you have a project that absolutely needs something like an S12, I can't make any promises, but send an email to sales@alta Inc. or work with our sales team. We do, part of our production processes is that we do produce samples before mass production or produce units, just to Jeff's point, right? Stress test, get into our projects, make sure we're running them for weeks and months prior to mass production, just to make sure there's not any problems with any new products. So thanks again for the question, Jake, and we are pushing to get that out ASAP. We know that's a long-awaited product, just like everything else we've come out with. So next question from user Kevin. Also, I installed an AP6 and AP6 Pro, and it seems that the AP6 keeps quitting, but your tech support is always helpful. But why the problem?
Yeah, so great to hear good feedback from our tech support. And we've referred to this issue in the past before. We had a small batch of access points that had an issue. The symptom is that they would it's usually after a power failure. So the power goes out, switch comes back on, and some of the APs don't come back. And we've been very proactive in trying to replace these. We haven't sold them for I don't know how long, the moment we found out about the issue. So definitely if you find any more, or if you have any concerns about an access point that you think might be part of this, if you bought it really early on, especially, then definitely reach out and we can try to take care of you. But yeah, we definitely stand behind our product and don't want anything like that holding you back from choosing Alta moving forward.
Yeah, agreed. And Kevin, if it's not related to that, right, if you have the same AP6 and it's flapping, right, or you're having some other issues, every case is different, right? So I'd say continue to work with our support. They're very knowledgeable, very, very skilled, right, and identifying root cause. So I'd say just don't give up on us, right? We'll try and help you figure out the issue. So on only rare occasions are we not able to figure something out, but we'll tell you if we can't. But anyways, good question. Thanks, Kevin. And thanks for the answer, Jeff. User Les Everett, regarding the PoE ports on the S12, I see that there has been some additional discussion on that. So the S12 is SFP and SFP plus only. So by nature of the SFP technology, there's no ability to pass PoE through that. So it's not an Ethernet switch, which is an SFP switch that you can populate with modules that have Ethernet, but they don't pass PoE. So anything else you want to add there, Jeff?
Nope, that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the question, Les. Next question from user Shu Corrigan, AP7 using PoE++.
Yeah, so this is definitely something we've been very cognizant of. We want to be able to support PoE Plus only in a limited fashion. So the goal is, and we will be able to do this, but PoE Plus, as long as the PHY speed is 2.5 gigs, the only question is if you bump that up to 10 gigabits per second, whether or not it's still going to be PoE Plus. So if you have a PoE Plus only switch, yeah, you're not going to have to worry at all. But if you have a PoE Plus Plus and you want to use that 10 gigs, that's the only part that might be a question. So still under investigation. We're trying to do PoE Plus only, right? I mean, that would be ideal. But as the 10 gigabit PHY comes into the question, and I've discussed this before, it is a brand new PHY. It is very low power, but it's kind of borderline. So we're still investigating whether or not we can fit within PoE Plus with 10 gig. But if you're doing the 2.5 gig, yeah, no problem.
No problem. PoE Plus, right? Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for the question, Shu. Another great question. Next question from Mike. Will IGMP proxy be added?
Yeah, I mean, it's another thing probably further down the line, though. But we do plan on adding IGMP proxy especially for use cases where you have IPTV coming in on the WAN side. But there are other use cases for AV distribution and things like that where IGMP proxy would be useful. But yeah, it's probably not probably not this year.
Great. Thanks, Mike, for the question. Thanks, Jeff, for the answer. Next comment from John Abrams. I'd love to see a 16 port in a smaller format that can fit into a low voltage CAN. Appreciate the feedback there, John. That's certainly something we're looking at.
Yeah.
Another question from Simon. More feedback. It looks like a pro router with a feature set similar to pfSense, Snort, Securita, PF blocking NG would be incredible. I'm probably dreaming though.
Yeah, I mean, we've chosen so far Suricata for our IDS IPS solution. I know Snort has other features, but yeah, I mean, the Route 10 is running Suricata. So if you are savvy in the CLI and know how to configure Suricata, there are definitely some things you can do there. And if there's something that you feel others would find useful as well, definitely make a feature request on our forum and we'll take a look at it. And then once again, with PF Blocker NG, if there's something specifically in that feature set that you find we're lacking in, definitely let us know on the forum and we can take a look.
Yep, great.
I will say, I mean, we can't lock, stock, and barrel copy everything necessarily exactly straight across, but there are technologies, especially with open source out there like Suricata, that is something that is it's used in a lot of routers. It's very capable. It has a lot of features. It's updated frequently, like daily, hourly. So it's something that we definitely want to embrace. So if there are other things like that we can adopt, let us know.
Absolutely. Thanks, Simon. A little more feedback here. More SFP Plus cages. Just a firmware aggregation switch. Thanks for the feedback, Simon. Take that. User Jalen, is the S12 actively cooled or passively?
Yeah, so with the fan inside, it is actively cooled. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Jalen, for that one. Kevin, thanks for the clarification regarding products on the website. We'll make sure we get all of our price lists updated and product lists. That'll be forthcoming very, very quickly. I know that there's some for some of our distributors, right, that are tuning in. There's a distributor price list that is being updated actively. I know Rob and our sales team are working on that and getting that disseminated. So soon should happen very quickly. Let's see. Love that. Sorry, lots of questions, comments. This is great. Super appreciative of all the interactions and feedback. This is awesome. Let's see. And I know we're over the hour mark, so I'm going to jump right into just questions here. Can DPI filtering work on specific devices on a static IP from user Shukor?
So currently, I'm assuming you're talking about Rat 10. Rat 10 does not support that currently, but it's definitely in the plans. And then, I mean, you can do something similar to this on our access points right now. If you've seen, you can actually bypass filters for specific PSK or SSID. yeah, not a specific device, but you can do that on a specific, you can do it on a device basis as well. If you go into the device window for a specific wireless device, you can bypass filtering, but only on the wireless side currently.
Great. Thanks for the question, Shu. Next question from Wi-Fi Wireless. Will the anticipated Wi-Fi 7 devices report GPS location? It's a good question.
Great questions. Yeah, so I mean, the current access points don't have GPS modules in them, and that's for a cost savings, right? We didn't want to, and I know there are cheaper modules out there, but we want to make sure that they're good. So that's why we don't have it. It's just most use cases don't need it, but obviously there are some cases that do. So maybe as a follow-on model or something like that, but it would be a ways out at this point before we added a physical GPS module into it. So yeah, not currently planned for the current Wi-Fi 7 AP.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Wi-Fi, for that. I think we answered this already, Kevin, but that we're shooting to try and get the S12s in a channel by the middle of September. That'll be plus or minus a couple of weeks, but right now, middle of September, Jeff and I are working with our supply chain contract manufacturer to make sure we bring that in as much as possible. Or maybe even a small chance of getting stuff produced and wrapped up by end of August, so that we can get out early September. But more to come there. Next question from Mohsen Shakil. Is 418 devices running off a single route?
Yeah, I'm guessing he's looking at our dashboard for our SVT HQ. Yeah, I mean, those are all running on the single route 10. And that's actually not a very large site at all. We can easily do dozens of thousands. And, we're testing that actively. So yeah, I mean, the Route 10 is a workhorse. It has a server class ARM processor inside, very capable of handling thousands of devices, no problem.
Yeah, definitely. Don't let its size and don't let its price fool you. That thing it's a sleeper. If you're a race car guy, it definitely is not something you'd expect once you get it deployed. You'd be pleasantly surprised. So thanks for the question, Motion. Let's see, another question from Motion. The upload download is symmetrical for me in real time. Is that a bug, or is that how it is? I have already had Anthony connected to my site and can reproduce. Yeah,
I mean, this was answered on the forum as well. This is expected. So if you have a router that's transmitting out its WAN port and receiving out its LAN port, those are going to be, two sides of the coin. So that is expected. Once you start having, more switches and more access points, those lines get more interesting on the main dashboard. And we do plan on adding like a WAN-centric area on the dashboard that focuses just on the WAN portion versus the LAN. But right now that is what the statistics are, and that's how they're displayed. So if you want to go in and see, what your WAN is doing, you can do it. You just go, let's see if I can share that right now. Just go to the Route 10. Can we switch to my screen real quick? So you go to the network tab, find your Route 10, click on its icon. So here's its device icon, and you can look at the different ports. So you can see on our LAN 4 port, this is basically all the LAN traffic. I can make this a little bigger. And then on the WAN port, you can see just the WAN traffic. So you can see in this case, there's quite a bit more traffic being transmitted at the LAN port than what's received from the LAN port. So that's how you can dig in and see that specifically. Hopefully that answers your question.
I bounced between my private chat and the live chat, and now I've lost my place. I'm sorry, everybody. There we go. Got it. Thanks for the question, Motion, on that one. Next comment from Simon on pfSense. There's a rule to handle the failover. Basically, you have to drop the state table and reestablish all connections on WAN port changes. I wonder if this is relevant here.
Yeah. I mean, excellent point, Simon. This is how it works, right? So at least that's how it's designed to work. It should work that way. So once a WAN connection goes down, all those connections are killed in the contract tables. and that's automatic. So anything that's not working that way would potentially be a bug. But like I said, we've found several issues and already fixed most of them. There is one more remaining one that we'll have a fix out for here in the next couple of days.
For sure. Thanks, Simon. Kind of in that same vein, user Jamie McGregor regarding the ability to try 1.4H beta.
Yeah, good question. So this is something that I mean, we have considered a beta program. We don't have one officially yet, but if you would like to try something right now on a beta, you can reach out to support, and we would need to be added to your site so that we can go ahead and install the latest beta on your site so you can try it out. That does come with a caveat as well. Obviously, it's beta software. Don't run it on anything production. It may, yeah, you want to make sure that you're staying safe when you're running beta firmware. But in general, they're usually pretty good. But yeah, that's the process, is to reach out to support, and then they can help you load that on there.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jamie, for the inquiry there. Next question from Jason in Canada. VPN connected users in main dashboard. Assuming that's
yeah. We talked about this earlier. We don't have support for that yet. I don't know if it'll be on the main dashboard, but it will be somewhere easily accessible so that you can see. It'll most likely be on the list of devices as well, just so that it's somewhere that you're commonly looking at. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Thanks, Jason, for the question. Another question from Juan Manuel Manny 343. Thanks for your answers. I have another question. Is there any plan to implement UTM on Route 10 or any other router in the future?
Yeah, I mean, so we do employ Suricata, like I've said before, with IDS IPS, which does some UTM to a degree. But if there's some specific feature of UTM or like a specific application, especially open source, that's out there that works well for you, we would like to hear about it if there's some feature that you need. Yeah,
absolutely. Thanks, Juan, for that one. Next question from Les again. Have you considered being able to use with Just Add Power list of products? That's a good question. I can take this one. So actually, yes, we've been testing with other media distribution solutions, right? Like AV Pro Edge and Bluestream. Even Dante, right? And we find that we work flawlessly, right? In many cases, we're in labs with AV Pro and Bluestream, and they have found that our stuff works too. Just Add Power is a little bit unique in how they do things, specifically with VLAN switching. The good news, our S24, S48 will support what Just Add Power is expecting from us, and we're actually now just talking with Steve Sharp, who works with Just Add Power pretty closely on projects like this. And that's something that we definitely want to look at, right? A lot of the layer 3 features that like Just Add Power wants to see, you can enable through, I think as Jeff mentioned, right, through our terminal, through our CLI on those switches. But as far as having them officially support us, right, and us support them is something that is a work in process as we explore what that needs list is. So again, honestly, Steve and I were talking just 2 days ago about it. So more to come here. We'd love to understand maybe less if you want to send an email off to sales, just help us understand how often you're using Just Add Power versus other media distribution solutions, and how size the scope of your projects. And that would help us kind of prioritize, right, where we, how quickly we can get Just Add Power support rolled out. A user from Luke Fong. Luke, good to see you here, coming in, I believe, from Jamaica, if memory serves. Can we have a native for control just like Route 10 and the S8 PoE switch for the network map?
Yeah, I've seen this comment and feature request. Yeah, we just need to prioritize it. We do want to do it at some point. I do have to say it's more difficult than you might think. So it's something that we have to work in with other priorities that might be higher right at this moment. So yeah, we definitely want to do it. But yeah, it's just a question of fitting it in.
Absolutely. Thanks, Luke. Thanks for being here. Another question, comment from Russell, just pestering again about SAML, OIDC, some sort of SSO for controller login. It's been a while since I asked, so I figure I'd just pester again.
Yeah, thanks, Russ.
Yeah,
definitely on our roadmap. This is something that's a little higher priority. So we definitely want to do something like this sooner rather than later for especially a lot of MSPs bring this up. Our user groups work great for MSPs for managing a whole bunch of sites with a bunch of different user accounts. But there's nothing like that holy grail of just hooking up one existing authentication database to another, which is what you get with SAML or OIDC. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Russell, for the pester. Comment from Simon at Wi-Fi regarding IPv6 regarding prefix delegations. And another follow-up comment, right, is he just recently learned that does not work well with without prefix delegations on client devices.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of require it, right? You have to choose what your prefix delegation is when you're using DHCP on IPv6 or even static. So yeah, you would have to know what that is because, yeah, devices won't work.
Yep. Looks like Brandon also came back. In this case, the WAN connection is a /64, and it learns an IPv6 PD from DHCPv6 and uses a pull in internal.
Yeah, even if your provider offers you a /64 or whatever, you still have to, you can use a hint, but you still have to specify what that PD would be in case it's not given to you.
Awesome. Let's see. Next question. Thanks for that follow-up, Brandon. Next question from Sukor. Can we have firewall rules enable switch next to each rule rather than have to click into the rules to see if it's enabled or not?
Yeah, another good idea. We recently added the ability to disable firewall rules in in the user interface, the window of the rule. But yeah, that's a good idea to be able to do a whole bunch at once. And I'm sure the next question will be firewall groups, but yeah, we'll get there.
Yep, for sure. Thanks for the question, Shul. User Russell, another question also, and I know this is a much larger conversation. We may have to take this one offline, but we'll see if we can address it. Have you guys thought about open sourcing the controller and firmwares?
I mean, you can't say never, but yeah, I mean, our plan has never been to open source the stuff that we're working on. We do use a lot of open source, and we contribute back where we can. We have done that for a long time, but yeah, there's just too much legal liabilities, especially when you're working with big gorillas like FCC and IC and CE and things like that. It's really difficult to support that in a fashion that won't get you into a lot of trouble. So, yeah.
Yep, agreed. Thanks for the question, Russell. Thanks for the comment there, Jeff. I agree with that. Next question. I see some discussion about SFP modules. Again, if you find something that's not being recognized by one of our devices, right, we want to know about it. We will try and add support for it. Let's see some comments about GPON. We have some users that actually, Brandon, thanks for this, GPON or XGS-PON. We actually have some users using XGS-PON with our Route 10 successfully. Just be mindful of power, depending on who the manufacturer is. We're seeing, over 2 watts there, big heat producers. Let's see. Thanks for the support here, Mike. I'd love to see it all in on Alta for future bids. Business question from Brendan Neves. Hi, team. Plans to sell the products in Brazil. I would love to have us be in Brazil. We are actively and have been looking for distributors to support us in Brazil. Brandon, if you know of somebody that we can work with, our sales team would love to also talk to that distributor. If you wouldn't mind, shoot us an email, sales@alta.inc. We'd love to have some follow-up conversations there. For those who are familiar with Brazil, certifications and importation tax can be prohibitive, but that doesn't necessarily scare us. We just need to find a way to make it work for everybody. So Brazil's a great market, right? It's a massive market. And we know because of certifications and because of some of their taxes, keeps a lot of our competitors at bay. So we are, again, interested there, Brendan. So please shoot us an email. We'd love to follow up on that with you. Let's see. Going through lots of questions. Love all the interactions, guys. Thank you very much. This is why we love our community. So much
One
feedback.
question from IGJ2SW. He says, are all the switch ports tied to different ASICs? And specifically for, well, any Alta Labs switch, we don't have anything like that.
There we go.
They're all tied directly, like the SFP module is tied directly to the ASIC itself. So yeah, no extra ASICs there.
Let's see. Similar price. Let's see a bit late to the show. User Zagreth, yes, we've just shared some updates, right? AP6W is in market generally. As far as the S48 is concerned, you should see that in channel by the middle of August. And then the S12, right, we're trying to get into channel by the middle of September. We've experienced some smaller delays there. So if you guys have missed that, we did share some dates there. User Mike Rollins, can you confirm the 48-port switch is full PoE? Happy to confirm that is the case, Mike. We've got a whopping 740-watt PoE budget tucked into that bad boy. So hopefully everyone is pleasantly surprised and happy with that. Another question from Brandon Bilu. Any plans to release DC versions of the hardware?
Yeah, I mean, this comes up with the ISPs, especially. We don't have plans right now, but definitely keep checking back. Yeah. For
sure. Another question. Thanks, Brandon, for the question. Another user, Shane Powers. Any thoughts on adding rear-facing ports on switches? It comes up quite a bit.
Yeah, this comes up especially for Pro AV installs, but we don't have plans right now. We've been trying to figure out a way to do it with our existing models, but yeah, it's been a little tricky. So we don't have anything right now.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I'd add to that, right, is we actually have had some users that have, believe it or not, big companies that actually have a manufacturing arm tied in as well. And they've manufactured some custom rack mount brackets themselves to get the switches the right direction and inset in the racks there. So we're exploring some options that, right, at least as an interim, right, introduce them, and you guys can either buy them right from them, or we may turn around and resell them as well. But yeah, we're more to come there for sure. Thanks for the question, Shane. From our own team, what are the updates to the Summit program, Cole? I think we shared that at the very beginning. If you jump onto our website, you can take a look at the new changes to the Summit program. But yes, essentially we removed things like the requirements for stories to try and streamline some things, but there is a chance for a reward strip in there. And again, the more Alta you purchase, right, and install, the better your chances are for being a part of that reward strip. Next question from Simon. So question, outdoor 6 gigahertz on the future devices, they require in some instances to need AFS, which would require typically a GPS. So likely a future device, but food for thought. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting comment. There are cases where you would want to do GPS so that you could use extremely high power or extremely directional power. For general purpose, omnidirectional access points, it's less of an issue, but there are still cases where it might make sense. So it's one of those things where it's a little bit more of a corner case, but and we definitely want to consider it. But yeah, if we add GPS to any of our access points, it'll definitely have a place in the API and dashboard. For sure. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for the follow-up there, Simon, on the GPS question. Another question from user J2S. Are you all creating Visi diagrams for these products, helpful in network designs? That's a good question, actually. That wouldn't be terribly hard for us to do. We have a lot of the artwork already. If there's a specific file format that you'd like for your diagrams, if it's truly for Visio, right, our marketing team could take a look at that for sure. Another question from user Jalen. Will there be a feature, or is there a feature to adjust AP transmission power? Yeah, if I can share my screen real quick, I could show you where to do that. So if you go to the network tab, look at all your Alta devices, click on the access point you want to adjust the transmit power for, and it's hidden under here in advanced. So you can actually choose from our defaults of high, medium, and low. Those are subjective based on the access point being used, or you can actually type in a manual transmit power. So that's how you would do it. I will add the caveat, I generally don't recommend that, but if there is some specific case or you're trying to debug something, it does make sense. Yep. Thanks for the question, Jalen. And also Texpresso, thanks for supporting that question too in the YouTube channel there. Wanted to make sure it got answered here for everybody else as well. Next question from user Andrew Brenner. I apologize if this has already been asked, but is it possible to filter out devices on the devices page that show up on the WAN port?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to figure that out right now. We don't have a solution yet, but it's definitely something we're looking into. Usually, there's only one device. It would be your gateway. But there are cases where if you plug into another large network, then a bunch of devices might show up on the WAN side of the Route 10. So yeah, it's definitely something we're looking into.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew and Jeff. Another question, are the Route 10 shelves out soon? It's a good question. Yes, soon is the right word there. We have, again, the most recent holdup is we're trying to identify a good blank solution that's easy to use over and over again, that doesn't add a ton of cost to the device, because again, we don't want it to, it's supporting a $199 retail device, right? The Route 10. So right now, Jeff and I decided yesterday, the blank solution will probably be something that comes after the release of the rack mount accessory for Route 10. And again, for those who are maybe new right to the community, we're creating a rack mount accessory for Route 10 that actually has two slots, right? So you can put two Route 10s side by side for what Jeff kind of insinuated earlier in the call for high availability deployments, or you can put the Route 10 and the one of our 8-port switches, or even Route 10 and control, or two 8-port switches, or two controls, whatever you want. But in the event that one of those slots isn't populated, we wanted to be able to blank that off just to make it look nicer in the rack. So we're gonna get those to market more than likely without the blank solution, and have the blank come later, just so we can stop the delay. We're all anxious to get that out. I know there's a lot of projects waiting for that. So we will see those start arriving in channel in August at this point, Jason. Shane, thanks for the clarification. Totally get it. And we definitely support our AV community for sure. On the rear-facing switches. Let's see. Next question from Jason. Can you guys make rack gears that inset the switch back instead of flush? That's a good question. I don't know if we've heard that one before. The rear-facing switches is one that we've heard quite a bit, but setting them back inside the rack. It's good feedback. We'll take a look at that. User Jalen, are you planning on implementing any AI features for the product lineup?
Yeah, I mean, we do use AI quite a bit in our product development and other facets. We don't run any AI necessarily on the controller or the access points or switches yet, but we're definitely investigating ways that we can improve, user experience, client experience by using AI, but nothing that we can announce.
That's right. Thanks, Jalen. Good questions. We definitely have an eye on AI, though, for sure. Next question from Colin. Thanks for being here, Colin. Hi, Chase and Jeff. Do you think Alta would make a dedicated wireless bridge device? It would be quite helpful for setting up Alta with systems and businesses running more legacy hardware.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely heavily involved in. Well, we're still trying to figure that out, but we've definitely made some progress on being able to release something that can do that. So we actually get a lot of requests for this. So it is something that's definitely on our radar.
For sure. Yeah. Agreed.
Nothing we can share yet, but yeah.
Yep. Definitely a priority, though. We definitely are taking a peek at it. User Chris, have you looked at rack mounted as an OEM for rack mounting the Route 10? We have not. We just decided to produce our own. But I know there's like a couple Etsy stores that have spun up for rack mount accessories that people are using actively, right? They've created their own, 3D printed their own. So great question. And I think finally we are on our last question or comment. We'll go ahead and get that link shared. Len, if you'll share that with me, we'll get the drawings spun up. Appreciate everyone hanging out, right? We're 25 minutes past our hour mark. I know there are a lot of anxious individuals waiting to see if they won either a shirt, hat, or an AP6W. The last comment that sneaks in here is from Shane. If you did the inset, that could also help with rear-facing ports by allowing you to mount the switch in the back by giving more clearance for back covers. That's good to know, Shane. Thank you. So maybe just even having the inset rack gears would be a short-term solution until we come out with a rear-facing switch. Anyway, so we will go ahead and let me get this pulled up here. And now, for those who maybe came in late, right? We announced a couple times the live stream that if you'll email your first and last name into social@alta.inc, you would get populated into our little giveaway spinning wheel here. I am just getting that pulled up here. So we want to actually do this probably every Alta Labs live event. We'll probably add some gamification there. There'll be some things to do maybe before a live stream, and we'll definitely streamline the way to enroll inside of the drawing itself. But we definitely want to provide some incentive to not only be here, be with us the entire time, but then also say thank you for taking time out of your busy day and hopefully get some get you some free gear. Sorry, we're just changing out the drawing wheel here really quick. All right, let me share my screen, turn off the noise here, so everyone can see that we're not cheating. We'll do this real time here. All right, so so we're gonna go shirt, then the hat, then our AP6W, and Landon on our team will be tracking who wins. He'll reach out to you for shipping address info, and then we will get those all shipped out just as soon as possible. So very first for the shirt, let's see who our winner is. Let's see. Mark Samuels wins an Alta Labs t-shirt. Congratulations, Mark. Landon will get that on its way to you ASAP. I'll also reach out for your size and make sure we get the right size out to you. So we'll go ahead and remove Mark from the list. We'll spin again for the Alta Labs shirt. Looks like the winner will be Shane Bowers on the hat. We have two actually sizes of hats. Shane, Landon will reach out to you regarding that. We have one for smaller heads and larger heads. So we'll go ahead and remove Shane's name from the list. And finally, grand prize AP6W. Looks like that's going to our friend Chris Bailey. Congratulations, Chris. We will find out where to ship this one to you. We can probably get on its way today. So congratulations. For those that won this time, make sure you attend our Alta Labs live event in August. We will announce that here probably within the next week or so. Also, if you missed announcements like the Alta Lab live event or any of our products or features, we highly encourage you to make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms. And then also, Rob, if you wouldn't mind sharing a link right now for our newsletter registration. If you're not a part of that, we do try to get out at least one newsletter a month, sometimes two, that talks about all of our features, where we're going to be in the world, right? What shows we're at, when the next live stream events will happen. So please register for those when Rob gets that link out. But as we wrap up, Jeff, anything else that you'd like to share or say to the audience?
No, just thank you so much for all of your support. Thank you for being here. We love working with you. We love getting feedback. Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I'd like to add the same. Thank you for your time joining us from anywhere in the world. Sometimes we know it's late, early. It's not a super convenient time, but your feedback, your being here, your interactions, right? Even we saw that a lot of people helping each other. That's what it's all about. That's what helps us come into work every day and make sure we're delivering excellent products that are ultimately elevating the world of networking. So we appreciate the support. We appreciate you including us in your projects. And if at any time there's anything that comes up, any additional questions, concerns, feedback requests, please email sales@alta.inc or join our community forum, forums@alta.inc, and come engage with us there. Until August, have a great summer or winter, depending on what side of the hemisphere you're on, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. See ya.